you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe so you'll be notified of all future uploads, and check the description box below the video for important links and information. How you doing, guys? This is Eric from RuleTheWasteland.com, RuleTheWastelandStore.com, and this video is about the two specific types of food storage techniques, if you want to call it that, the two major ones anyway, and that is eat what you store what you eat, or just a long-term set it and forget it type of food storage where you put things in containers or in a method of storage that can last for decades and then just stash it somewhere and forget about it. And that is my preferred method for food storage, and this video is about the main two reasons why that is my preferred food storage technique for the most part. I do have a little bit extra, obviously, of the eat what you store what you eat type food, like the canned goods and things like that I don't necessarily need a lot of for a long-term food storage plan, like green beans and things like that. I still go ahead and get extras whenever they're on sale, things like Spam and green beans and things like that I don't really do any particular effort to put them in additional long-term food storage, because cans do last forever and I do eat those on a semi-regular basis at least. So I have some of that, but the vast majority I like to have in stuff like either buckets of rice that I've stored myself, or things like Legacy Foods specifically, which I've talked about them before as far as brand-wise, why they're the ones that I really like for just price and quality and calories per dollar and things like that. But the main reasons why I prefer to have stuff like buckets or Legacy or things like that is the first one is simply I don't want to say I'm lazy, but it's a lot less work to just do a one-time purchase or a one-time storage kind of activity, just put it all in how it needs to go with the Mylar bags and whatnot, and then stash it somewhere. That's it. You're done for potentially decades, and that's appealing to me. I don't like having to do any additional work. There's a lot of more tracking and effort required to swap out food to make sure that when you buy new stuff, you put it in the back or whatever, and then use the oldest stuff. It's obviously not some sort of Herculean effort, but it can represent a significant amount of tracking and effort. And specifically, goes into my second reason, if you're low on space, because you have to have kind of a decent amount of space for the eat what you store what you eat compared to the long-term food storage, because obviously things like cans take up more space than one giant bucket, but also because you have to constantly have access to that to swap it out. So it's a lot more difficult to use kind of just whatever space is available to you, like under a bed, behind other things in a closet, stashed away in a lot more difficult to reach areas. Can be a real hassle if it's stuff that you have to constantly rotate through. And not even constantly, but if you have to even occasionally rotate it through, you don't want to have to be digging out in these areas that are a little harder to get to. You can utilize a lot more different kinds of space, under furniture and beds, under even your couch or something like that. Different areas where you normally wouldn't even be using this space for storage, under things that you use more frequently. That's great places to store stuff like this or buckets of food. It's a pain if you have to get at it every month or every couple months even to rotate it out. You'd have to have all these spreadsheets to tell you where the different places that these things were, which one was oldest and what you had to swap out first. That can be a big hassle. So if you have a lot of space or a giant pantry or a whole room or whatever that you can dedicate to this sort of thing, to can racks and stuff like that, then it's great. You'll usually end up spending less money and you actually have food that is never as old because you're cycling it. But you do have to do that extra work. So those are my two reasons why I prefer stuff like Legacy or self-stored long-term food storage like buckets of rice and whatnot, is because I don't have to do any work in terms of tracking and rotating. You have to just basically write on it how many, what date you stored it, and know that you have 20 to 30 years for the most part. And also, you can utilize different kinds of space more effectively with that long-term food storage. Let me know what you guys think about that. If you have a preference for either method of food storage and why, and if you think that people in in like apartments and things like that should be using one kind or another versus people who have a lot of space in maybe a rural area or a large house or things like that. So let me know. Thanks for watching, guys. Check out RuleTheWastelandStore.com. Kill those with shirts as always. And I also have a link in the description where you can get, I believe it's 10% off Legacy Foods. Already one of the cheapest, certainly per amount of calories that you get for their bigger packages and whatnot. Thanks for watching.